If you're alive and watching this video, it's likely thanks to one man. A man who, in the heat of the Cold War, stood against the tide of destruction and prevented a nuclear catastrophe. His name was Vasili Arkhipov, and he may have saved the world. To understand Arkhipov heroism, we need to go back to the Cuban Missile Crisis. The U.S. had discovered Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba and imposed a naval blockade to prevent further deliveries. The world held its breath as both superpowers teetered on the edge of war. Deep in the Caribbean, a Soviet submarine, B-59, found itself hunted by American destroyers. The U.S. Navy, unaware the submarine carried a nuclear torpedo, began dropping depth charges, small explosives meant to force it to the surface. Inside the submarine, conditions were unbearable. The crew had been submerged for days. The temperature soared above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and oxygen was running out. Captain Valentin Savitsky, believing they were under attack and that war had already begun, ordered the launch of the submarine's nuclear torpedo. If fired, the explosion could have triggered all-out nuclear war. But there was one crucial safeguard. Soviet launch protocol required all 3 senior officers on board to agree before launching. 2 officers, including Savitsky, approved the strike. Only one man refused, Vasili Arkhipov. Arkhipov, the second in command, stood his ground. He argued that they had no confirmation of war and insisted they surface and await orders. He refused to let panic and fear decide the fate of the world. After intense debate, Captain Savitsky reluctantly backed down. The B-59 surfaced, and disaster was averted. Had Arkhipov not been there that day, we might not be here to tell this story. His unwavering courage in the face of immense pressure prevented a nuclear catastrophe. Though largely unrecognized during his lifetime, he is now remembered as the man who saved the world. Every decision we make shapes the future, and sometimes a single act of bravery changes the fate of humanity. If you're alive today, if you have a future to look forward to, it may very well be thanks to Vasili Arkhipov, the man who refused to launch.